What is poppin', my beautiful people, man? It is game day. A huge game today between the Broncos and the Chargers. I'm excited about it, man. I don't usually do pregame shows, but today I was in the mood to do a pregame because, it's a nice little thing to pass the time before the first window of games open up here at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And we're going to talk about the importance, man, the sheer importance of this particular game this week. I think it's really, really big. I know it's a little strange, right, to talk about a game being so important in only week 3. But this is a big one, man. This is a really big one because of the way the schedule is kind of worked out. It's huge for the Broncos, and it's really important for the Broncos because it's huge for the Chargers as well, who ended up starting out their season with 3 divisional games right off the bat. And if they go 3-0 and they have a lead against every single team in the division, that obviously sets them up in a really big position to be able to do some good things. If the Broncos, on the flip side, if they win, it kind of allows you to quickly forget about that game that was stolen away from you last week in Indianapolis and puts you in a really good position and helps accomplish that fast start that we kept talking about is so important for this season, man. So let me know what you guys want to discuss below in the comments. I think one of the big things that sticks out to me today about this game is that, listen, even though it is week 3 only and it is a really big game, 2 things can be true at the same time, right? It is week 3 only. Last year, the team that was leading the NFL in offense and was 2-0 and was kind of taking the league by storm after 2 weeks was the New Orleans Saints. They were the number 1 team last year offensively and scoring like a whole bunch of points. And we know how their season ended up happening. So that being said, we know things can change throughout the course of the season, but we'll see what happens. Victory lap, what's popping, my guy? We got this 23-20 Broncos. I think that's a really good score. I think that's probably, in the ballpark of where I could see this going. I was going to look at the game spreads. I know the Broncos are favorites, and a lot of the money right now is on the Chargers. Broncos are 2.5-point dogs. But the over-under for this game right now is, let me see, 45.5. So yeah, that would be right. That would be right in line, kind of with what the books are thinking that it's going to be scoring wise. He said, "Let Dobbins eat." I agree, man. I think it's a good opportunity for him to get kind of a revenge game. But I hope the Broncos don't necessarily force that, right? I want to see them force the running game. I want to see them run and establish that as much as they possibly can. But, if they start mixing in RJ Harvey and RJ kind of looks like he's having himself a game and he's getting cooking, let him go. But, yeah, let JK eat. He's looked really good so far this season for us. And a run game is going to be huge. It's going to be one of the big keys to victory today. No doubt about that, man. I'm excited about what RJ Harvey could potentially what J.K. Dobbins could potentially do and what RJ Harvey can do as well, right? I'd like to see them be very balanced, and I want to see more rushing attempts today than passing attempts. I think if you can establish a run game early, you can get yourself in a position where you're not playing from behind early. You'll be able to stay very balanced. That's gonna be really big. And one thing that's gonna be the biggest key to the game today, in my opinion, is that if you let me look that up for you real quick. Victory lap. That's a good question. What's Dobbins' prop bet? I say he gets over 100 yards. I like that. I actually might take that here. But one thing that's the biggest key to the victory today, man, it's something that the Broncos need to clean up so far this year is the turnover differential. They have lost the turnover battle in both of the games that they've played. They're currently -3 on the season, which is not good. It is not going to get you very far, and then you're not going to win a lot of games if you're losing the turnover battle. And on the flip side, LA, the Chargers are one of the better teams when it comes to turnover. I think they're +2 on the year when it comes to turnover. Yeah, their differential is +2. So no doubt about it, you have to, get pressure on Justin Herbert, force him to make mistakes, get the ball out in those opportunities where you can, right? Omarion Hampton is a rookie. Omarion Hampton wasn't really a guy that fumbled a lot in college, but that doesn't make him not susceptible. So you got to be able to get the ball and win the turnover battle today, man, while taking care of the football for yourself. That's going to be the biggest key, and it's the biggest way that you can, balance out a game, especially on the road, right? We know that these road games, there's a lot of Bronco fans there, but it's going to be huge. Take them out of their element. So, yeah, and special teams has got to be significantly better, man. It does. It's got to be a lot better than what it has been. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Let's get into the odds here. I'm going to answer Victory Lap's question because I'm curious about what the prop bet might look like for that. That's a good one. So yeah, while I pull that up, man, it's crazy. You get the Dre Greenlaw news yesterday, and to be honest with you, like, yes, I was bummed because it was official, but a part of me says, you know what, this is the right move. Like, just give him ample amount of time that you need to get him right. It is extremely frustrating, obviously. He was one of the prized free agent possessions that we had gotten this past year. But you always got to remember, listen, if the Broncos are in a position come week 8, week 9, where we're going to be battling for a playoff spot, whether it's the division lead or a wild card, that's the time of the year that you want to see Dre Greenlaw healthy. It's the time of the year that you want to see J.K. Dobbins healthy, right? Evan Ingram healthy. So if you're going to have these injuries, having them early is better. It's frustrating because, yeah, you kind of carried him. You didn't IR him early, so he ends up missing an additional 3 games. But like I said, it kind of is what it is. If he comes back week 7, which I'm still a little bit iffy that he will, but if he comes back week 7 and he gives you 10 games, 10 very productive games in the regular season, that's big time, man. That's huge. So, my man Mike, what's going on, man? Love the show. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you go check out Mike Carminelli, man. He's always got the juice, especially in the off season. I love his content. So go show him some love. Make sure you follow him on all the socials. Appreciate you tuning in, Mike. It's good seeing you again. But yeah, let's see. So rushing props right now, they have J.K. Dobbins at like 48.5, I think is what they have him set at. Yeah. So it's pretty low. They got him at 14 plus attempts. They're projecting that J.K. Dobbins is going to get the most amount of carries of any running back, on both teams. They're viewing that the Omarion and Najee Harris splits might be a little bit closer. So that's pretty interesting. So, we'll see. What I do like is the prop bet of J.K. Dobbins 15 plus rushing yards in the first quarter. It's a pretty good one. But yeah, overall, they got him at 49.5. So, interesting, man. What do they know that we don't? They have R.J. Harvey at 22.5. And they've got, here, we can share it, actually. Why the hell not? This makes it a lot easier. Yeah, so this is how they got it. I'll make this a little bit bigger for y'all, too. 49.5 for JK. They're projecting that he's going to be the leading rusher in this game, based on they do literally billions of different scenarios. It's why they're so accurate with a lot of these things, man, and it makes it obviously very, very tough. Another thing that I found to be pretty interesting, if you look down over here, is they have the Bo Nix pass yards. Where is it? 220 and 260. So I think where they have them, they have Justin Herbert at 253.5 is what they're projecting his passing, and Bo Nix at just 218. So they're thinking it's going to be one of those games where, because I always thought, listen, so far in the first 2 games, the Broncos have been very pass heavy, and so have the Chargers, which has actually been very surprising. They're kind of thinking that it's going to be a similar type of style for the Chargers, in a sense that the Chargers are going to continuously be throwing the football, but they think in this one the Broncos are going to be turning to running the ball. So interesting. I think it's something that we should do. I'd like to see us run the ball a lot more, but we'll see. But yeah, man, I mean, pressure on Justin Herbert's going to be a major key in this one, no doubt about it. Being able to make it sloppy for him. They've got good weapons in the pass game. They do. They've got Ladd McConkey. Quentin Johnson's having a big bounce back here. Keenan Allen is crushing it so far, so they're going to have to be really mindful of those guys. And I like that matchup for us from the secondary standpoint. I think we certainly can match up, but you already know, man, Jim Harbaugh, in the 2 games that we played him last year, he made it a point on offense to test and to challenge our inside linebackers. And obviously he is going to do that because that is the glaring weakness. So until we can have a counter for that, it's going to be a glaring weakness for us, man. It is. So we're gonna have to be, really diligent there. I would like to see, I really would. I'd like to see more Karene Reed mixed in on defense, right? Do I think he needs to get a lot of snaps? No, but I'd like to see him rotated in because, you got to look at it in this way. Last year, the Broncos had Chris Abrams-Drain, right, who was a later draft pick for us. And they didn't really trust him much. They didn't give him a lot of opportunities. They didn't really give him an opportunity until late in the season when we were kind of desperate, when Levi Wallace shit his pants. And what happens? He ends up surprising everybody. Even Sean Payton was like, yeah, he was someone that kind of came along a little bit later. And it seems like he's more of a gamer. He's somebody that comes in and plays really well in games. We were only able to find out the true potential of Chris Abrams-Draine until he started to get some snaps. And ironically, he got the interception, his first pick against Justin Herbert in LA last year. So a lot of the times it's like you can't just go with the mindset of like, well, Justin Sternado, we know what we have with him. Karene Reed's still a young player. He's a rookie, and we don't know what he's going to get. Like, you're not going to know what you have in him until you play him. So I'd like to see him get a little bit of snaps. One thing that's unique about him is that he's an undersized linebacker. He's definitely smaller than the linebackers that we have, but he flies around, man. So maybe you put him in, and he's ready for game day, and he plays really well. And if not, then hey, it's just a few snaps. But I'd like to see him worked in a little bit more because we need to find answers at inside linebacker. The guys that we have now are just not it. They're not. And so we're going to have to find something. And I'd like to see them mix in Karene Reed a little bit more. Surprised that they didn't elevate Lavelle Bailey. They elevated Garrett Wallow again for special teams reasons, which is really kind of mind-blowing to me. But maybe they're wanting to save the elevations for Lavelle Bailey later. Or maybe they are planning on putting him onto the 53 now that they have an open roster spot. So we'll see. Really, really good point here by Victory Lap too, man. Herbert averaged about 8 to 9 runs. Got to contain him or hit him so hard he thinks twice about running. Yeah. And I think you're talking about this year. I know last year it was different with Herbert because he was dealing with a high ankle sprain for most of the season. So he wasn't really his normal running self. But yeah, you're going to have a spy, and you're going to have to definitely take his running ability into account. And I would like to see us put a couple lickings on him early. If that means that we got to get a 15-yard penalty early in the game, man, I think, hey, you might have to do that. I always said that you should do that with Patrick Mahomes. Just lay his ass out. Somebody got to do it. But maybe, yeah, you got to definitely impose your will a little bit with him. So, they will definitely try to establish a run game, in my opinion, against this defense. And Justin Herbert is certainly a part of that. In fact, what do they got him at in terms of a rushing prop? They have him at 5.5 rushing attempts, and they have him at 23.5 rushing yards. In fact, they're saying that Justin Herbert is going to have more run yards than both Bo Nix and RJ Harvey. So really good point there, man. Another one, somebody that they feel like he is going to run and get quite a bit of rushing attempts with his legs. So we'll see. He has been averaging 8 rushing attempts, and he has been averaging about 31.5 rush yards per game so far. So Justin Herbert has been a problem, no doubt about it, with his legs. And on the flip side, I like to see Bo Nix make plays with his legs. I appreciate what he's been doing in the sense of like there's a concerted effort trying to get Bo Nix, like for him to say, okay, instead of taking off and running, go through my progressions, right? And I think it's really important from a developmental standpoint. That's why I'm not overly concerned with a little bit of him struggling a little bit at times through the first 2 games, because I think that's a key part of like becoming a more complete quarterback is getting off your first read, going through all of your reads, progressions, and making throws on time. But in this game, it's like, dude, utilize your legs, man. Take off running, get the first downs, keep drives extended, keep the ball out of the hands of the offense. That's going to be a major key for us winning, controlling this game, and being in the positive when it comes to time of possession as well. So that's going to be one that's going to be really fun to see, man. So listen, in terms of predictions for this game, I don't know. This thing can go at a lot of different ways. I had a feeling all week that the Broncos were going to win because I liked how they seemed to bounce back from tough losses last year. I think that is going to carry over. I do ultimately have the Broncos winning this game 27-21. But we will see. We will see, man. I think it's just one of those games where, like I said, I keep going back with like, it's early in the season, but still it's extraordinarily important for a lot of different ways. I mean, going to 1-2 and having quite a hole to the Chargers this early would really suck. But having the division win at this point would put you in a really nice position. So I do have the Broncos getting the victory. I think it's just one of those kind of revenge games where, not just for J.K. Dobbins, but I think Sean Payton understands. He likes to break streaks, and he understands that he was 0-2 last year, man, against Jim Harbaugh. They were 0-2 last year against the Chargers in general. So this is going to be a really good motivator for them. And I like the way the Broncos tend to play the Chargers better in LA than they do here. So it's going to be interesting to see how it ultimately plays out. Curious what you guys think. Victory Lap already said he got the Broncos 23-20. I'd like to know what you guys think is going to be the overall, the score of this game, because the predictions are always fun. And I get it too, man. I mean, the Chargers are a really good team. They really are. Let's not sugarcoat that. They are very, very good. But, some of the key matchups, I think the way that, Nick Bonito's ability to get pressure against Justin Herbert is going to be huge. So whether it's against Trey Pipkins, their right tackle, or Joe Alt, their left tackle, he's going to need to win those battles, win those matchups. He talked about how he struggled a lot last year against Rashawn Slater. There is no Rashawn Slater, but Joe Alt's been an absolute baller this year. So you've got to see him be able to get pressure, him and the whole pass rush, really. Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis, Dondrea Tillman. You want to see those guys get a lot of pressure. I think it's going to be a major key there. And then on the flip side, it's I look at it like Bo Nix against Derwin James. Derwin James is one of the best defensive players in the NFL. No doubt, man. He's going to try to bait you into making bad throws, making those mistakes. So how Bo Nix kind of manipulates that and plays off of him is going to be huge. Sean Payton talked about it's going to be an emphasis to try to get Cortland Sutton going early. I like that. I think that you should get your number one guy going, and then you can open up things for Franklin and for Mims and Bryant and all those guys. But I don't want to see anything forced to Sutton. Sometimes Bo Nix likes to force things to Sutton, and it doesn't always end up pretty. You saw it last game, right? The one throw he kind of tries to force to him, it sailed on him, and we know there's a lot of reasons for that, but just play within the game and get going. And then, what kind of impact is Nate Atkins going to get? Sean Payton was really thrilled with getting him back this week. And I think he does a lot of things that are important that are not necessarily on the stat sheet, but it'll be important to see kind of how he plays and how that all works for them as well. So, those are some of my key matchups. And then also, man, another one is going to be Jaquan McMillan or Jahdae Barron on Ladd McConkey. Whoever is going to be playing the primary nickel, that's where McConkey plays. McConkey opens up a lot of different things for them. A lot, man. He's just such a good player, so reliable. It always seems like he's always open. So they're going to have a plan for him. I do trust a lot in McMillan and Jahdae Barron. Really McMillan because of, what he's been doing, over the course of his career. Because he's somebody that he will give up plays, but man, you keep testing him, and he's going to come down. He's going to get a big interception. But last time we had played, McConkey was their leading pass catcher, 6 catches, 87 yards in the second matchup. He really had a very big, impactful game. And even in the first game when we played against them, it was actually Simi Fehoko, but he had 4 catches and 43 yards. So tons of targets. He's someone that they clearly wanted to go after a lot. And 14 catches in the 2 games that we played against them is going to be huge. So how do those guys hold up against McConkey? Do you put Pat Surtain on him and then go from there? I personally wouldn't, at least early. I would see, I would try to get Pat Surtain to go up on Keenan Allen, maybe someone that on, third downs they seem to go after, somebody in the red zone that they seem to go after, and trust that you can bottle up McConkey. But what makes it tough is that you can utilize maybe some inside linebacker help, but how are those guys going to ultimately play? So we'll see. But I don't think it's going to be a very unique game plan from the Chargers. I think I know exactly how they're going to attack us. They're going to try to utilize a tight end that they have that's a little bit more athletic, right? It was Stone Smart in the second game last year. It was Kamani Vidal, who's a running back that's a good pass catcher last year as well. So in the first game. So if they feel like Omarion Hampton can be a weapon out of the pass game, they're going to try to utilize him. And if they feel like it's going to be, other guys, they're going to try to utilize those those guys as well. Oronde Gadsden is somebody that I look at and say, okay, I did a lot of work on Oronde Gadsden. I loved him in college. And I know he's super athletic and he's not a very traditional tight end, but they're going to look at him and say, man, Oronde Gadsden is someone that they can find matchups against this Broncos defense with. So don't be surprised if Oronde Gadsden has a couple of big-time catches today, similar to how Stone Smart did, because that's just how they've always been going after us. Looks like Will Dissly is actually out for this game with a knee injury, which is pretty important news. He's not the biggest pass catcher, but he is a tight end that's got capabilities. So look for a lot of Tyler Conklin. They might utilize him. But again, Tyler Conklin's going to be used probably in the pass game for sure, but more as a blocker. Watch out for Oronde Gadsden, man. I hope I'm wrong, but look at Oronde Gadsden props today. Bet the over for the catches, bet the over for the receiving yards, and maybe even put like $10 on a anytime touchdown, because if I was the Chargers, that is absolutely somebody I would look at and say, I think he's going to be able to take advantage of some matchups. And hopefully the Broncos are ready for that, man. Sean has a bad record against both Harbaugh bros. He does, because the way that they play us is, they want to control the clock. They want to control the football. And they want to force you out of doing things that you're comfortable doing. And Sean Payton, I know the run game is very important to him, but he definitely does not emphasize the run game. He is someone that likes to throw it all over the yard. He just does. And it works for a lot of coaches. It works a lot of the times. But when you're going up against somebody with the philosophy of the Harbaughs, you almost have to beat them at their own game. They force you to play their style of football and bet that they're going to beat you in it. And typically they do. So, yeah, it's tough, man. It's time for him to get a win against the Harbaugh brother. No doubt. Because if you can't, listen, if Jim Harbaugh's got your number, forget about winning the division. At least consistently. You don't want any of that. Another interesting thing that Sean actually talked about before we wrap up here was they looked a lot at the Houston and Chargers game last year in the wild card when Houston just absolutely destroyed the Chargers. They looked a lot at that game, and they tried to take a lot of like what worked, what didn't, why was Houston able to kind of bottle them up. And so that's interesting, but this is also a very different Chargers team. I mean, just a healthier Justin Herbert is a big deal, right? Justin Herbert in his second year in the system is a big deal. They didn't have weapons outside of McConkey in that game, whereas this year they seem to have that. So, and then they also, J.K. Dobbins was back for them, but he certainly was not healthy in that game. So I think they have a better run game. So it is different, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what did he take from that? What did he see that worked for the Houston offense, in that game? And it seemed like everything was working. I also remember there was a very key part of that game. I don't remember exactly what happened, but in the wild card, but there was one turning point where it was like, damn, that's kind of the dagger there. But yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud had a big game in the air, 282 yards, but man, the Houston run game ran it down their throats, 34 carries, 168 yards. He had a 4.9 average. I'm pretty sure, Justin Herbert had 4 picks. That's pretty crazy. He had more interceptions in that one game than he had the entire season. I remember watching that in Vegas. I was not sober, so I don't remember exactly all the games, but yeah, Stingley had two picks. Lassiter, they really forced Justin Herbert into some ugly situations, and a lot of it was because Houston got the lead pretty early. They were up 10-6 at half, and then they were up 20-6 after 3. So they really forced the Chargers into this unique position that they weren't necessarily used to, and Houston was able to pin their ears back. They got 4 sacks. And they were able to get after him. So, again, that's going to be the key. But McConkey in that game was the only receiver they had. They had 14 completions as a team. He caught 9 of them for almost 200 yards, 197 yards and a touchdown. So he still blew up in that, and that's just kind of what it is. You bottle up Lad McConkey, you force other guys to beat you. You're going to give yourself a good chance there. So, all right, y'all. I'm about to get ready for some Red Zone, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's go Broncos, baby. Catch the post game today with me and Jeremy. We're going to go live shortly after the game. We will schedule that probably, usually about 5:30, but sometimes we go on a little bit earlier. So catch us there to break everything down. And y'all take it easy, man. Enjoy your Sunday, and go Broncos, baby. Peace.